Hello?
Hello, sexy voices of Hollywood calling. Is this Mr. Verle Majied?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
How are you, Verle? How you doing?
Hey, how are you? I'm doing fine.
I'm doing well. I'm well. Good to hear from you. Greetings and welcome to Sexy Voices of Hollywood with your hosts Robert Taylor and
Yayoi Winfrey.
Every other week on this show, we'll present another Sexy Voice of Hollywood.
This week's guest is Verle Majied. Besides having a sexy Hollywood voice, Verle is also a photographer, actor, and filmmaker who has toured with the Jackson family. You can friend Verle on Facebook or connect with him on LinkedIn. And his name is spelled V as in Victor, E-R-L-E. Last name is M-A-J-I-E-D.
Those links will be posted on our YouTube page, Sexy Voices of Hollywood. Welcome to the show, Verle.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming on.
So, Verle, you've been a still photographer for quite a while. Who have been some of your more memorable clients? Juicy details, Verle.
Okay. I started way back when in high school. We won't even go back to ancient history, but through the years of, like student newspapers and through college and what have you, and then afterwards, I photographed Carl Stokes during his first successful run for mayor of Cleveland. He happened to be the first black mayor of Cleveland. And through that, during that time, other celebrities and what have you, I've Stephanie Mills, Jane Kennedy, Halle Berry, Teddy Pendergrass, of the Jackson family. I was Jesse Jackson's photographer also during his '84 campaign.
Okay, that's right. Halle Berry is from Ohio. What was that like?
She was pretty cool. At that time, she came over to the house. I was working for a magazine that's no longer this. It's called Club Date Magazine. And she had just come back from the Miss USA tour with, she had been runner-up in Miss USA, and then she went on a USO tour with Bob Hope. And after she came back to Cleveland, our magazine got in contact with her. We wanted to put her on the cover and do a story on her. So she had a really nice person, very personable. I think Reggie Rucker brought her by the house. He used to play for the Browns years ago. And, the shoot went very smoothly. And we had people there to help her with the makeup or anything, but she didn't need any help. She was just a total professional. And I think at the time she was about 20 years old. So really very mature for her age, I thought at the time, a really polished lady from day one.
Wow. Did you have any clue that she would become as huge as she is now?
No, I really did not. And but I knew she was headed for something major league because she just seemed like somebody who had really been groomed for greater things, Wasn't kind of like she just fell off of a truck or something, She was very polished.
And in addition to Halle Berry, you mentioned Bob Hope. You have an opportunity to meet Bob Hope. He's quite legendary.
No, I'm sorry. Maybe let me clarify. Halle Berry had just come back from a USO tour with Bob Hope. I had never met him. But just for a little bit of trivia, he is from Ohio also, and I don't know if it was from Cleveland, but I know he had worked in Cleveland in his early years, vaudeville and things like that.
Amazing. You were a photographer, limo driver, and bodyguard for the Jacksons. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was really interesting. There was a gentleman by the name of Dana Bratton who I had met in Cleveland, and he at the time was a bodyguard for the company. I had been in martial arts, so we were talking about that. And as he mentioned, the tour was upcoming. I also had told him I was a photographer, so he was going to try to arrange some work with them. I was kind of bidding on it. So as it turned out, he and I and another guy to Atlanta by car to talk with Leonard Rowe, who's in charge of Rowe Entertainment in Atlanta now. And Rowe had just come off of a big tour, so at that time he was going to be given an opportunity to do the Jackson tour, which was a much bigger venue. And this was the first time that an African-American company had ever handled an act as big as the Jacksons. That was the first time. But they decided to give him a chance, and it went pretty well.
What year was that?
That was 1979, about 32 years ago.
Wow. And so how was it hanging out with the Jacksons?
The tour was crazy. It was, we actually started, the contract was signed in Atlanta, but the tour actually started in New Orleans at the big Superdome they have down there. And it was just rush. I mean, you never really got to unpack your suitcase or anything. During the day you'd get up, you'd have different PR events to follow them around to. Then we'd go down and we'd do the sound check. and follow them around for little publicity things. And then you'd get back, you'd eat something, and then it's almost time for the tour, and then the show that night, and we'd go there and do it sometime. I think we were there for like 2 nights, staying at the Hyatt, and then it was on to another city. All in all, it was about, the tour was like 90 different, it's like a 3-month tour, like 90, not quite 90 cities, I'm sorry, maybe like 70 cities or something, because some cities we stayed 2 days. But it was just, it was a really kind of a kick-butt type of job, you know. It was very little rest, just rush, but everything it went really well. It was a lot of fun, and everything was first class. At least that was while I was a photographer. When they didn't need photography services anymore, I was asked to stay on the tour as a bodyguard because I had done martial arts as Dana Bratton had, and he asked me, so I said, yeah, I would take that because I really wasn't ready to leave the glitz and glamour. But the only thing about being a bodyguard, you might get a call 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody wants a pizza, so you're the guy that has to go out and get it. Less glamorous stuff, you know. And the time, you know, when you're doing stuff like crowd control and things like that, that can be a little hectic. But all in all, it was an experience, I'll put it like that.
So how were those fans? Were they, like you said, when you had to do crowd control, were they particularly fanatical fans? Or
they were off I would describe them as off the chart. People, I mean, clawing at you, pulling. One time in, I forgot what city I was in. I was in some city. We were in the South, maybe Shreveport or something. And we had the security badges we wore. And in doing the crowd control, it's just like 5 of us are pushing the crowd back. When we finally got them under control, I'm walking back to the area with the rest of security. I'm kind of at the end. And a policeman stops me and he says, where do you think you're going? I say, well, I'm security. He says, where's your badge? And my badge had got pulled off.
Oh, no.
So the guy, and I really had to convince him that I was security. I had to go, we had to get somebody because I'm like, dude, I can't be left here. I don't have a car, I'm leaving with the tour. Yeah, it was crazy, but a lot of fun. Some of the worst and I guess scariest parts were a couple times we had fans actually jump on stage, and it was usually a guy. Somebody wanted to get to Michael and just grab him or kind of dance with him on stage or something. And if you can, and the way this happened, it's weird. We're on security's on stage to each side, personal security. Now we have policemen in front of the stage, a wall of them. So you imagine, now how is the guy going to get through the police? Well, Michael on stage, he had so much energy and charisma that as the show and the music and everything just progressed and the energy that was there, the policeman kind of just turned around and they're watching the show. So some very adventurous fan would work his way through and just kind of just pop through, and he actually jumped up on stage. And I saw it happen at least 2 or 3 times. It was crazy.
So were there any particular prima donnas in that family, or were the Jacksons themselves pretty down to earth?
I found Michael to be probably the most down to earth, and I would say followed by Tito. Randy was pretty cool. He was young. Marlon, I'd say he kind of walked around like I'm a movie star. And the oldest one, Jackie, he was a playboy. I don't know how much of that I should get into, but maybe that speaks for itself.
Wow.
Although just being with that tour and as popular as they were at that time, girls offered me anything I wanted if I could just get up to see Michael Jackson. And I was, well, sweetie, as much as I would like to, I really can't do that, But it was a lot of that,
So that's a job with Benny's, right?
You could say that.
Okay.
It didn't suck. I'll put it like that.
Okay.
Definitely VIP access.
Absolutely.
Well, you've also performed as an actor. What was your role like in the 1994 movie Double Dragon?
That was interesting. Yeah, most of what I've done is done like little bit parts, and I started doing extra work. But in that film, it was filmed in Cleveland and L.A. And the director said, I want to give you a speaking part. So he bumped me up, basically. And I was a cop. I was kind of like the sergeant of the police force that was there. And I had, he gave me 3 different scenes where I was speaking in, which was really nice. It was a nice kick for me. I did America's Most Wanted and another film called Slaughter of the Innocents before that. Little small parts. But that was pretty good to be in 3 scenes where I was speaking.
So were you bad guys in the other films, or? I
was a criminal in Shawshank Redemption. I was incarcerated, and I was an FBI agent in Slaughter of the Innocents.
Wait a second.
So it's either cop or criminal. Huh?
You were sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interject, but I'm sure our audience will appreciate this. You were, for the official record, you were in the famed Shawshank Redemption movie.
I was in the famed Shawshank Redemption, directed by Frank Darabont,
That's
and
awesome.
Filmed in, it's one of my favorite movies, too. It's so much like life, Yeah, because it seems like all of your life you're always chipping through that wall, and then finally you get a chance to swim through